This is the amount of air that we breathe in and out at rest. At rest, we inhale this amount of air and we exhale it out. But this is the air exchange at rest. This is known as the tidal volume of the lungs when we are resting. Okay? Yani, for example, if you're going to consider that this is one of the alveoli, and this is the amount of air inside the alveoli. When we are at rest, only this amount of air will be exhaled and inhaled. Only this amount will be exchanged. The rest of the air inside the alveoli will not be exchanged. It will be refreshed from the air coming in this area. The area in outside is not going to be exchanged. Okay? When we are exercising, what happens to the breathing rate? It increases. For example, if this breath was in 2 seconds, okay, in rest, if you were taking one breath in 2 seconds, during the exercise, we might take 2 or 3 in the 2 seconds. That's what's meant by increasing the breathing rate. What else happens to the breathing when we are exercising? The depth of the breath. So if we are exchanging only this amount of air during rest, this 0.5, during exercise, we will exchange a larger volume of air. So if I start exercise here, my breathing pattern, it has to be faster and deeper. Increase in the rate of breathing and the depth of breathing. That's during exercise. That's the breathing pattern during exercise. So, okay? So, if I stopped the exercise here, what's going to happen to this breathing pattern? It will stay high and deep, and then it will start to return back to the normal. And this is the time when you are paying the oxygen net. Okay? This is what happens to our breathing in different situations. But in order to find the lung volume of a person, this person has to take forced breathing, a forced inhalation and a forced exhalation. If I want to know your lung volume, I will make you take a very deep breath to fill your lungs to a maximum. Yani you are going to fill the lungs till its maximum. This is a deep inhalation, or a forced inhalation. Okay? And then I will make you exhale forcefully. Make a very forced exhalation, trying to push all the air out of the lungs. So you are pushing the air that you already took and the air that was already inside the lungs. And this is the forced exhalation. That's the vital volume. So this is only done if I need to know your lung volume. Okay? Even after a forced exhalation, there is a small amount of air remaining in the lungs, known as the residual volume. This air never goes out of the lungs. It's always inside the lungs. It's never exhaled. Even after forced exhalation, this amount of air always remains inside the lungs, so that the lungs does not collapse. You are doing it forcefully. It will not happen in a normal condition. This is only done if I want to measure your lung volume. I make you to exhale forcefully after a deep breath. So you take a very deep inhalation, filling your lungs to the maximum, and then you make a forced exhalation, pushing all the air out of your lungs. This is to measure your lung volume. ده لأن this at rest this amount ده. You don't need. And this amount of air, when it's refreshed, it's enough to supply all the oxygen you need. Yes.
So air already جوه اللونجز ده مش محتاجين.
هو مش حكايه انه مش محتاجه يعني you don't need to exchange this. هو it's refreshed from the air that you take. يعني انت when you take the air, this small amount of air, the oxygen is going to diffuse through all this air till it reaches the blood. And the carbon dioxide will diffuse through all the blood. Yes, the residual volume is always there. The amount of air that always remains inside the lungs. Okay? The breathing movements. Breathing involves inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation, we're taking in air. Exhalation, we are giving out air. And this is a movement, which means it's going to be controlled by muscles. Any movement is controlled by muscles. So, muscles responsible for the breathing movements are two muscles. The intercostal muscles and the diaphragm. These are the muscles responsible for breathing. The intercostal muscles are a pair of antagonistic muscles. What does it mean, a pair of antagonistic muscles?
Two muscles.
They are two muscles and they are working in opposite actions. When one of them is contracting, the other one is relaxing. So the intercostal muscles are two muscles. Yes.
هو انا ينفع اقول on the same bone؟
Working on the same area, okay. بس هو it works بتبقى على ان هما they are two muscles working in opposite actions. They are the external intercostal muscles and the internal intercostal muscles. So where are these muscles found? They are found on the ribs. We have the rib cage in our thorax. This is the thorax, and the rib cage is inside it. The rib cage is made of the backbone, that's the vertebral column, the backbone, where the spinal cord is moving inside, and we have the front bone, or the sternum. That's the sternum or the front bone. But that's the front bone and that's the backbone. And between these two bones, we have the ribs inserted in the sternum and in the vertebral column. So these are the ribs. Those are the ribs. So that's the side view. Sternum, vertebral column, and the ribs. The intercostal muscles are the muscles attached to those ribs. The external intercostal muscle is attached to the ribs from the outside, but internal is attached from the inside. So the external is from here, and the internal is from here towards the lungs.
And they surround the muscle?
Yes, the ribs are surrounded with muscles. And inside this rib cage, you will find the two lungs with the heart in between, the trachea, the esophagus, the aorta, the pulmonary arteries. All these organs are inside this rib cage. Below the rib cage, we have the diaphragm, which is fixed to the sternum and to the backbone. So that's to separate this cavity from our lower abdomen. Below the jejunum, below the diaphragm, you will find the stomach and the liver and the rest of these organs. Okay? So, how is this going to help in the breathing movements? How do these muscles allow us to breathe? During inhalation, we need to take in air from the atmospheric air, which means that we need the lung, the pressure inside the lungs must be lower than the atmospheric pressure. So when the air enters our lungs, the pressure inside the lungs has to be lower than the atmospheric pressure, so we can suck in the air. In order to lower the pressure in the lungs, what's going to happen to the volume of the lungs? To lower the pressure, I say pressure يقل, يبقى الvolume يكبر. To lower the pressure, you have to increase the volume. I want the pressure to be lower, I have to make the volume bigger. But for the pressure inside the lungs to be lower, you need the lung volume to increase. And so the thorax volume must also increase. The thorax is where the lungs are found. Yani, to take in air, the pressure of air outside has to be higher than the pressure of air inside the lungs. Okay, عشان الأير يدخل. So you need your lungs to become bigger. The volume of the lungs has to increase, so the pressure inside them will decrease. ما انت عايزة تديه. هم عشان يتملوا. أنا عايزة أملاهم. عشان أيوه أنا عايزة أملاهم. عشان أعرف أملاهم لازم البريشر جوه اللنجز يقل. فعشان البريشر جوه اللنجز يقل لازم اللنجز الفوليوم بتاعها يكبر. فالاريا اللي هي موجوده دي كلها لازم تكبر، الفوركس كابس دي لازم توسع عشان اللنجز تقدر تو اكسباند.
الاكسنس اللي بتوسع
اللنجز
بس هو الاكسبيرمنت اصلا لا تبقى اقوى من الاكسبيرمنت عشان تحمي الوقت ولا لا؟
Okay, طيب for this to happen the external intercostal muscles are going to contract.
بس فين الانترنال والاكسترنال؟
If those are the ribs, مش هيبانوا في الرسمة. لأن I cannot draw the internal لأن أنا شايفة الرسمة من بره من هنا. If those are the ribs, the external are attached from the outside, the internal are attached from the inside. So when the external intercostal muscles contract, they are going to pull the ribs in their direction. So when these muscles contract, they will start to pull the rib cage outwards and upwards. The rib cage will go like that. And they are attached to the outside, and the muscles always pull towards it. The muscles that bتعمل contraction, it pulls the structure towards it. يعني أنا for my forearm to bend, the biceps contract. The biceps is inserted in this bone, but it's going to pull this bone towards it. But always when muscles contract, they start to pull. Well, direction بتاعت the pull is towards the contracting muscles. But external intercostal muscles is attached from the outside. When it starts to contract, it pulls the ribs towards it. The ribs will go outwards. هي الانسرشن بتاعتها is pulling it outwards and upwards. It's pulling it that way. دول external. They are going to contract, and so they are going to pull the ribs outwards and upwards. Yes, but كده you are increasing this area, this volume. And at the same time, the diaphragm is going to contract. And when the diaphragm contracts, it starts to flatten downwards. So the ribs are moving that way, and the diaphragm is going like that. So this volume is all increasing. The volume of the thorax increases, the volume of the lungs increase, so the pressure drops and we can take in the air. So this is what's happening during inhalation. As long as I said the external intercostal muscles are contracting, يبقى internal has a long in, relaxing. Then they are antagonistic. During exhalation, what's going to happen? Exactly the opposite. During exhalation, I need a pressure inside the lungs to increase because I need to push this air out. So I need the lung volume to increase and the thorax volume to decrease. And the thorax volume to decrease. So in this case, which muscle is going to contract? The internal intercostal muscles will contract, and the external are going to relax. When the internal contracts, they will pull the rib cage back to its normal position. So they pull the ribs inwards and downwards. At the same time, the diaphragm is going to relax. When the diaphragm relaxes, it takes that shape, that curved shape, it curves upwards. This curved shape is known as becoming doomed. This is the doomed shape of the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is curving upwards, it's dooming, and the rib cage is moving inwards, so the volume is decreasing and the pressure is decreasing. Okay? Come in. What's the difference in composition between the exhaled and the inhaled air? Inhaled and exhaled air. If I'm comparing the composition of the air, I'm speaking about oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen. Those are the gases found in the air that I'm going to consider. So the oxygen is higher in the inhaled air, 21%. And our body cells use oxygen in aerobic respiration, so the exhaled air has less oxygen. Carbon dioxide, opposite. In inhaled air, low concentration of carbon dioxide, 0.04. The exhaled, 4, higher concentration because it's produced from respiration of body cells. And it has to be exhaled. Why do I have to exhale the carbon dioxide? What am I doing?
Concentration will.
Because a carbon dioxide can lower the pH of the blood. So I need to excrete it. Yes? Yes? And water vapor in the inhaled air is variable depending upon the humidity of the air. Like in exhaled air is always saturated because it's a way of excreting excess water. Nitrogen is the same in both.